I've worked extremely hard um, to not only get back but improve and try and be better than I ever have been. So I'm definitely looking forward to it. It's been a long time. It's been a long time in that cave, just putting yourself back together. I had a great team around me for the entire process, a great support system, um, and it's gonna be special. Like I say, it's been a long time. Mentally, it's tough to stay in it when it had been year after year after year, especially when you started out so fast and I had all the goals of Jerry Rice and all these things, and you're slowly just crushed by injury. It's just hard to mentally and spiritually stay strong throughout all of it. But I felt like this one, when I got to Exos, they had my name, Odell Beckham Jr., ACL rehab, and I told them to change it to spiritual reconstruction. You know what I mean? This is just my soul that I need to work on. And I found that I'm just in a way better place. My energy, the way that I approach a situation, the way that I approach anything that goes on, I just have a positive outlook on it. And it changes everything. I come out here, it was a gloomy day, and I come out here and then the sun starts shining. It's about how you look at it. I got I have a different aura about me at the moment.
Okay, that was beautiful. That was deep. That was profound. I can't tell you, Michael, how much I enjoyed seeing and hearing from Odell Beckham Jr., who is on course to make his season debut after 10 and a half, almost 11 months ago, tearing his ACL, set to debut against Chicago. Michael, I got to tell you, man. And listen, full disclosure, in interest of transparency, okay? I spend an inordinate amount of time staring at my fantasy football roster, hoping that something will magically change, trying to figure out the next transaction or trade that I could make to improve my awful team.
Yeah.
And
okay,
I happen to have had Odell Beckham in my IR spot until this week. So I do have a dog in this fight. I do have a vested interest.
Okay.
I have skin in this game. Odell Beckham returning triumphantly and balling out for my fantasy team. But this is honestly, I want to have a conversation about reality. I just want to get that out there because that's what got me thinking about Odell the way that I'm thinking about him now. And then hearing him talk to the local media for the first time in forever, it just got me to thinking and I feel quite comfortable saying this to Odell Beckham, if he should happen to be tuning in right now. I missed you, my guy. We missed you. We all missed you. Michael, you talked about this week's biggest story. Week 3's biggest story for you, I believe, is Justin Fields and his debut as starting quarterback of the Chicago Bears. I would say that outside of the fantasy football community, that from what I could tell, one of the most underplayed stories is on the opposite side of this matchup is the return of one of the most gifted players we've ever seen. Do you remember
that's not an exaggeration,
what Odell Beckham
really
was when he burst onto the scene? He was on, and he mentioned it, he was on a Hall of Fame trajectory, okay? He was on his way to going down as one of the greatest receivers ever, and then he fractured the ankle in 17. Giants traded him after 18. Didn't quite click with Mayfield in 19, and tore his ACL in 20. And a guy who was setting records to begin his career for the first, 3 years of his career, says that he's back and maybe better than ever, and better between the ears. Listening to him talk about spiritual reconstruction, listening to him talk about putting yourself back together, just what it took mentally, especially after being traded, struggling or not being the focal point, if you will, his first year in Cleveland. All the things he's heard, all the things I'm sure he's read, all that people have said And I'm just so happy that he's back, just as a fan. Because, Michael, there was a point in time when, regardless of position, Odell Beckham was in the conversation for best player in the game in terms of just pure ability, just in terms of pure brilliance, just in terms of his dynamic athleticism, okay? And it's not over for him. So he says, we'll see. And he smiled when he said, we'll see, as he walked off. It wasn't like we'll see. I mean, look, he's practicing in full. He's talking to the media. He was like, so I think the question to him specifically was, what would have to happen between now and Sunday for you not to play? And he gave that, we'll see. Like, Dak Prescott's probably got it sewed up. But I think Odell Beckham, before it's all said and done, has a real opportunity to be in the comeback player of the year conversation. And not just come back, but the idea that he could be better than he was before. And keep in mind, look, I know people think I just hate on Eli Manning. I don't. I told you, I raised him. I taught him how to be clutch in high school. I like to think that
But
my
you had to beat him,
head-to-head victory over him in high school.
But you had to humble him, though. You had to humble him to teach him.
Yeah, I told you, I think I set him on the course. Yeah, but think about what Odell did with an aging and declining Eli Manning. And like I said, didn't click immediately with a young Baker Mayfield. I can't wait, man. I can't wait for the show. I cannot wait. I'm just so happy as a fan to see this young man who at times has gotten a raw deal. I've been to Odell, and look, I'm biased. It's a New Orleans thing. It's a 504 thing. I'm biased. He's gotten a raw deal at points over his career. But I'm telling you, man, I'm just so excited to see him take the field again and maybe take the game by storm once again.
Mike, in another life, for those who don't know, in another life, I used to be a columnist. I used to be a sports columnist. And every now and then, I moved on, but every now and then I get these tremors. I get something stirring in my soul that reminds me of the life that I used to have, and sometimes I miss it. And today was one of those days that I missed it, listening to Odell Beckham Jr. Because you know how it is as a columnist, as a beat writer, as somebody who is covering a particular sport. Somebody will give a press conference, and they'll say so. There'll be a phrase, or there'll be like a little passage that gets your attention,
Michael.
And you'll want to do what will you want to do?
Listen.
What?
When I put this in the feed, when I put this in my feed, I don't usually reference my feed. I let it speak for itself.
Yeah.
I knew that I had you at spiritual reconstruction. I know my guy.
Right.
I know my guy.
Right.
And when he said spiritual reconstruction, you'd have been typing out a sermon. I know my guy.
Not only that.
I know that spoke to you.
Not only that. Oh yeah, it did speak to me. But you know what? If I'm there, you said, speaking to the local media, he says that now the competitive, believe it or not, it's a nerdy competitiveness in the sports journalism game. So it ain't like putting your body out there on the line and trying to beat somebody, trying to wear them down physically. The competitiveness is, hey, did they get that? You look to the left, look to the right. Did they hear what I heard? Did they see what I saw? And you write down a little something, and you think to yourself, ooh, wait till I get him one-on-one, because I want a little bit more information there. And what I want, Mike, is how did he get to that place? How did he get there?
Mm-hmm.
How did he get to the place where, as you pointed out, he's on this great career? A top half of the first round draft pick of the New York Giants out of LSU. Immediately goes to New York and balls out after like a little bit of like injury concerns in the beginning. I think hamstring, like right off the jump, training camp.
Yeah.
But then he got going, and it was amazing. So this guy, how does he go?
He missed the first 4 games his rookie year.
One of the best players. Yeah. How does he go from thinking he's going to be one of the best players the league has ever seen to, hey, I'm in a better place now. Don't put that injury next to me. Put down spiritual reconstruction. I have a different perspective. It's a gloomy day. Now the sun's out. It's all the way you look at things. I mean, that's right. I agree with all that stuff, but I want to know process. How did he get there? Was it a conversation with somebody? Is it just that he realizes his own mortality? I mean, that might be the simple answer. Maybe it's something deeper. But I'm with you. I'm looking forward to seeing him do his thing. And it would be, you want to just go with a nice little story that nobody would believe because it's just too good to be true. It would be Odell Beckham Jr. struggling the last few years, waiting a long time to get on the field, and then getting on the field and balling out. At the same time, he's doing it for the Cleveland Browns, who have waited much longer than he has to get to a high level. Never been to a Super Bowl. It has been almost, what was it? Let me see, my math is right. Been about almost 35 years, 33, 34 years since they went to their last conference championship game. Forget about the Super Bowl, but they haven't been to the conference championship game since the 1980s, late 1980s. So to have these two stories running together to achieve something that we haven't seen before, that would be great. So I'm rooting for him, his redemption song, and also the redemption song of the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, I mean, people for so long wanted him to grow up. He's 28 years old, and I think what we just
How old is
heard.
he? Have I grown up yet?
What we just heard.
Have I grown up yet?
Was just that. No, you know I haven't. But what we heard was just that. What we heard from him today was evolution, was maturation. Dave Gettleman shipped him out of town thinking that the team would be better without Odell Beckham. That the best thing for the New York Giants was to move on from Odell Beckham, who they had just paid. And even though at the time I was like, oh, this is great for Beckham, because Baker at that point versus Eli at that point was an upgrade. And then he goes to Cleveland, doesn't hit the ground running, and of course gets hurt the next year. I mean, that had to shake him. And just seeing him say what he said today, look, again, going back to the numbers and the fantasy perspective, like even if dude doesn't come back and put up the same kind of numbers he used to. I mean, it's a different offense. They got different weapons in Cleveland. They got the two running backs. They got tight ends. Stefanski's, different than, who was it, Gilbride at the time, if I'm not mistaken. He could be a better person, a better player, a better teammate than he's ever been. And that's a success story. So I don't know that this comeback can necessarily be measured statistically. It's the fact that he's out there performing is just a gift to the league, man. And I just watching him, it moved me. I'm proud of him. I'm happy for him. I'm happy for us as fans that we get to watch this performer do his thing again and maybe do it better than he's ever done. You mentioned Collins, Michael Holley. I'm gonna go ahead and pivot. Because, his career could be one big what if. And I beg your pardon on the what ifs, because I just watched the latest edition of What If on Disney Plus. But it could be the latest. It could be his career is one big what if in terms of what he had in New York, getting traded, getting hurt. Right now it's a what if. What if his career had not been derailed or interrupted by injury?